Welcome to RomWills Money Matters. Be outstanding in your job or business. And I'm going to tell you what, regardless of what's going on, and I'm going to get more into the economy and what's going on right now in my next episode. But I was thinking about that, and just in general, regardless of what's happening, because even if the economy was going great, there'll still be some businesses that don't make it. There's still going to be some people that's going to get laid off. Then there's still ways you can make it. I was thinking about two instances. One wasn't private, and I'll get into the private one, but one was what somebody I had mentioned a few times. I had mentioned a few times the man who had, I call him the Buffalo Wing guy. I keep trying to look him up. I cannot get his last name right. I just called him Mike. I just called him Mike because that was his name. But anyway, I was thinking about it, right? Remember I said this man at one point had 3 restaurants. This man, first he started out with just taking buffalo wings to different barbershops. Then he had a real small place in a local shopping mall. And then he expanded even beyond that. And then he was also had a place at a government building. He was taking care of their lunch and everything. And I'm gonna tell you what, when he had that bigger buffalo wing place, he eventually moved and he sold it to someone. And see, here was the difference. He was outstanding when he had it. Because the food, well, I mean, he was cool, but I mean, the food wasn't that great, but he made it outstanding. He had people lined up. And he was just outstanding at his job, very great at customer service. But then when he sold it to somebody, that same person had the same exact food, but barely had people coming in there. But he wasn't outstanding at it. See, that's one thing. Whenever you have a job, business, whatever, you have to be outstanding. Because I'll use the second example. When I was working at this major department store, and it was during the Great Recession, and there was a major layoff. But the manager, it was some personal stuff that I was going through, so I couldn't really interview for the job. But the general manager of the store pretty much decided I had the job. I just had to formally interview for it. But then I was just working hard. I wasn't sitting back thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to do whatever, and I wasn't going to be like everybody else. I was pushing it. And this wasn't something I was trained for. And even though I've said I've had 1,000 jobs, one of the things I've done on those 1,000 jobs was I would just work hard. I would just give my best. I mean, no matter what. I'm going to tell you what, if you want any job, any business, you still got to give your best. You still got to give your best work. Because you do have some people out there, they'll get into a job or get into a business and think all they have to do is show up. They don't do any work. They don't do the extra mile. And in fact, one of my earliest summer jobs, this was back in 1984 when it was a whole crew of us. It was a DC summer job, and we had to clean up. And at the time, it was a bad neighborhood. I drove past there a few years ago, and it looked like it got gentrified. But it was the Kenilworth Parkside area in Washington, D.C. And last time I drove past there, they had some major apartments there. But when I was there first, that was like a notorious drug area. I mean, the cops used to walk down the middle of the street like they were an occupying army. It was bad. And one of our jobs was to clean up. Now, we had 2 crews. We had a morning crew, we had an evening crew. Well, more like an afternoon crew. I worked with the afternoon crew. The morning crew, they didn't have a reputation of really doing a good job. The afternoon crew, oh, we were working hard. We were working hard. We were really putting in the work. shoot, we didn't really leave much for the morning crew. But we were doing something. I remember one time we working so hard, our managers were like, look, why don't we just chill today? Because we were working hard. We were putting up fences, cutting grass, everything. But we were doing well. And that's one of the things, when you in a job, you in a business, I don't care what it is. I don't care what you're doing. Do your best. Work hard. Go that extra mile. Ask questions. Don't sit around. If you sitting around, nothing to do, ask. Say, is there something else I can do? Is there something else I can do? And I've noticed that not just with what I've been doing, but other people on jobs. Because, you know, being on these 1,000 jobs, you observe a lot of people. Now, I've seen some people, they ain't doing anything. They ain't doing anything. They doing just enough. Then some other people, they going extra. Like when I was working at that retail job, had a guy coming in. His only job was to do merchandising. Yet, technically the merchandisers didn't work on the register. Yet he helped somebody on the register without any training, doing anything like that. He went extra. So they gave him extra. He did what he had to do. He was being outstanding. You got to think about that. Whatever job you go on, you got to be outstanding. Whatever business you have, you got to go extra. Especially if it's a service, it's a product, check with people, give great customer service. You don't want a situation where people aren't, doing something, going extra, having great customer service. I remember there was a place I had to get some car work done. And the only reason I went there because, the car would have had trouble passing inspection. He was able to let some stuff go. But otherwise, I was like, dude had lousy customer service. He would do a great job, but he had lousy customer service. I'm surprised he's still in business. But even there, like you giving any type of service, you doing anything, you want to go extra. You want to be outstanding. Because regardless, remember, that job you in, always think there's 50 people who would like to be in that job. That business you in, very, very few businesses you can do that you're not competing with somebody. You're not competing with somebody near. I had mentioned before, in the area I live in, there are a lot of nail places, which means if somebody doesn't do something, if somebody doesn't do somebody's nails well, they can literally just walk up the block and get somebody else. You always competing. Whatever business that you have, somebody else is doing it. You want to be outstanding in it so that other people will come and check it out. And that's regardless of what you do. Always keep that in mind for your job, your business, whatever. You always competing. You are always competing. You want to be outstanding. You want to give that extra thing. All right? So anyway, that's all I have for today. You know the deal. Let's go make that money.